We're going to talk about a little bit of that. Happy 4th of July, guys. The 30-minute podcast starts now.
You have now entered a new dimension through the expansion of the internet world. I am Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen Podcast Show.
Hey, welcome to the Johnny Allen 30-minute podcast show. I am Johnny Allen. Welcome aboard. For your first time subscribing, thank you. And liking, thank you. Hey, guys, last week, if you follow me, I was on a little bit of a vacation. I'll share some of the pictures. I just basically visited with family and had a lot of fun. And I think it's important to visit with family and friends and spend as much time as you can with the people that you love. And the people that you love, treat them with dignity and honor and respect, right? But it is the 4th of July weekend coming up, and it's all about the red, white, and blue. There you go. We're going to have a little coffee. We're going to talk a little bit about some things that I've, witnessed for the last couple weeks. If you're new to the podcast, all I do is talk about everyday life situations, things that all of us are kind of going through, right? Some of the current event issues, not all of them. A few of them, and I just share my thoughts and feelings, and you guys can comment below and we can share. But without further ado, like I said, happy 4th of July weekend coming up. We, God bless. Okay, here we go. God bless Old Glory right there, right? Old Glory, there's Old Glory right there on the New York hat, and it's kind of... That's kind of a rarity in itself anymore. It's sad, right? It is sad. You have New York City, which I love everybody. Okay, first of all, I want to clarify this right now. I love all people. And I don't care, what kind of lifestyle you're living, you're involved in, what your beliefs are, what your disbeliefs are, all that kind of stuff. I really generally love all people. When I say love all people, I mean, I care for the human race. I care for human beings. I think a lot of us are screwed up, Obviously, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. I think a lot of people are just misinformed, misled. Basically, that's it in a nutshell. And we could talk about that for hours, right? Which I won't get into that today. But our society as a whole right now, especially in the United States of America, it's a different condition today, different conditions. And I'll get into that in here briefly in a little bit. But without further ado, guys, before I go any further, I do drink coffee on the show, and I want to share some coffee with you guys real quick. This is the CWE Coffee Company. I do endorse these guys. It's a great coffee company. I'll have the link below. I'm drinking that currently. If you're a coffee drinker, go out there and get it. There is the website. In case you don't want to see the link, there it is. You can go get it right there. It's a small startup company. Tim DeBrewer is the one that owns this company, and I'll have him on as a guest here real soon, and we'll talk coffee. When I was out in Jersey land, I did visit the USS New Jersey. I'll share a picture of that on the podcast today. But you guys know I'm kind of a coffee connoisseur, right? So we're sharing the coffee time. I got this Old Salt coffee, right? And this coffee is called Haze Gray. Haven't tried it yet. Going to. It's a Battleship blend. You can't really see all that, but it talks about a little history of the Navy and Old Salt and all that. And this coffee, basically, when you buy it, proceeds go to the U.S. military, which I'm all about that. I'll kind of get into that a little bit in the podcast today. But like I was saying, I'm the type of person that I don't judge people. Because I cannot judge. Okay, I cannot judge people. I cannot control people for what they do and how they act and so on and so forth, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent or whatever, okay? Sometimes when things bother me, do I express that? Sometimes. I hold a lot back. There's a lot of things that bother me in today's society, and especially in the United States, but really all over the world, that really just, I can't stand it. I don't know where these things are going. When I say things, these different movements, these different lifestyle changing products, changing dialogue, changing society, changing everything that should be and was and could be and should be and still could be, quote unquote, somewhat normal. And the way I explain that is this: it's okay to be quote unquote normal, to be boring, right? There's nothing wrong with being boring. And in today's society, it seems like boring is not enough. I'll make some examples. I'll give some examples, rather. People don't want to be boring anymore. They want to do all these things to draw attention to themselves. Everybody's kind of guilty of it. I've been guilty of it in the past. I used to, I was in heavy metal rock bands. We dressed all weird and getting in blah, blah, blah. And I get it. And I get the idea that you want to express yourselves. And I get an idea that, you got the freedom in this country. And I'm going to talk about that too, guys, leading up to it. You got the freedom in this country, in the United States of America, to express yourself and to give your opinions and make stands on things you believe in and all that stuff. We still have the freedom of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have freedom to do that. And I'll lead up to where I'm going. I swear I will. Okay, another drink of coffee. Well, as we know, without getting too political, because I'm not really a political show, but these are things that just kind of bother me. As we all know, this weekend we celebrate the 4th of July, Independence Day in the United States of America, which means the people that came over from Europe, especially from England, were seeking freedom from a dictating king over in England at the time that taxed us to death, took away the rights of people. And I'm not going to get into all the detail or whatever, but that's why we escaped England, right? And that is why it happened, basically, to have freedom, to explore, to have a new country, to basically have more freedoms, period, and not be so taxed to death. You need taxes to pay for stuff, but it's kind of weird though. Today we're getting taxed to death right now. It's like some things have never changed. So anyway, but we still have a lot of freedoms here in the United States of America, although they're dwindling very quickly. I'll give some examples. All right, so we have these social media platforms like what I'm on here, YouTube, Facebook, blah, 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 Twitter and all that. I don't personally do Twitter, but we got all these social media platforms now, which can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, right? So we express a lot of our feelings and movements and what we believe in and our disagreements and our whatever on social media. Okay, that's a given, right? Okay. Well, here's the problem with that. And this is where it involves freedom. Now, like I said, I believe that everybody has the freedom of speech, which goes to my number one thing I'm talking there. Number one, see that? Freedom of speech. Okay, we don't really have freedom of speech on these platforms anymore. Some people do, some people don't. And I'm not going to get into the details. Unless you've been living under a rock, you can figure it out. Some folks can say whatever they want to say on the social media, and some folks cannot. To the point that where even if you make a small thing on the social media, comment about something, even if it's kind of in a jokey matter, you might even get like people that are real close to you upset with you about that, which happened to me, Nothing bad really, but the point I'm trying to make with this is that the tool of of the social media has caused so much basic drama. There's so much drama. And there's so much misconceptions of what's going on. And it's getting to the point to where it's one-sided almost. People are getting misdirected. So in a sense, when they say, well, yeah, you got freedom of speech. You can get on social media, Facebook or whatever, say whatever you want. Well, you can't really. Because if people know this, you have Facebook police, you have YouTube police and all this stuff. So you got to be really careful about what you say. I got people policing me on stuff, and it is what it is. Okay, whatever. You take it to however you want. But you're kind of losing that number one thing I got right there, freedom of speech, right? Okay, number two, you got freedom of worship. Okay, when our Independence Day, this is all about Independence Day, guys, when the ancestors came over, and even people today that are coming over to this country. There's one from North Korea, a woman from North Korea I saw in the news that escaped from North Korea, and she's very happy to be here, and she talks about that. But anyway, because they don't have that in North Korea, guys. They don't have that in a lot of countries. They don't have that in China. We do not have the freedom of speech in a lot of these countries. And if you don't believe it, go research it yourself. We don't have the freedom of worship in all these countries. We don't. So number one and number two, in a bunch of countries in the world, do not have those two things anymore. You don't have the freedom to go worship in whatever church you want to worship in, if you want to worship in a church. If you worship at all, you don't have the freedom of speech. It doesn't matter which side you're on. That's gone. You're under one rule. That's why Independence Day is so important, and that's why the American flag is so important. And you can say what you want. America is not the perfect country. No, we're not. There's no place on the planet that's perfect. We are not perfect. We have a lot of issues in our country. Okay? I'm not going to get into all that. Don't have time. Don't want to. But just saying, you're not going to have the freedom to express anything. Number one and number two are going to be gone if you don't take care of what she represents. Oh, glory. And what Independence Day means. Independence Day means, right? So we got to be real careful when we decide that we want to, crush Oh, glory. Okay, just be real careful with that. I'm not saying you got to worship the flag. I'm not saying you got to agree with everything the American flag stands for as far as representing our country. Like I said, we have our own problems we got to work out, and we'll work them out. But we still have number one and number two left. Okay? So that's why number three is very important. Happy and proud of the USA. Now, you may not agree with what's going on, but I'm saying, there's worse countries. I just named a few of them. North Korea, China, Syria. There's three. Saudi Arabia. If you're a woman in Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, you tell me, right? So it kind of leads to number four too, which ties in with number one, which ties into the whole social media platforms, is be happy in my own skin, which means I'm happy with be happy with the way you're born. I'm born a white man. I didn't ask to be a white man. God just said, you're going to be a white man, or if you believe in a creator, or whatever. You're born the way you're born, right? Period. That's it. Be happy with who you are. Because in some countries, like I said, that don't have this flag, okay, you're not allowed to change if you're not happy in your own skin, which means happy with who you are, guys, happy who you are, how you're born. You don't have that right to change things, if you know what I mean. In other words, if you're a guy and you decide you don't want to be a guy or a girl, you can't do that in some countries. You just can't do it. So be happy in your own skin. Here in the USA, that represents the American flag, you can still do that. Okay, and I got number 5 there is no PC, which means political correctness. Now, the reason why I say no PC, I think some PC is okay. We can't disrespect each other. We shouldn't disrespect each other as people that share this wonderful country together, right? Like, I'm not going to dog on another person just because of the way they look or whatever. You know, I may not agree with it, but I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. If they do something I don't care for, I'm not going to go out and punish them for that. So that's why PC's got to be really careful about PC, political correctness, because if you start being political correct about everything and you start becoming a homogenized country, then you lose the number one thing, the freedom of speech. That's gone. If you do too much of number 5, number 1's gone. Number 2's gone. Number 3's gone. Number 4's gone. Think about that, guys. Think about that. Just think about that for a second. If there's too much PC, you're going to lose the first 4 things. Just think about it. That's all I'm asking. Keep an open mind and think about it. Now, lastly on my list is double standard penalties, rather. Double standard penalties. Now, when I was saying double standard penalties, in other words, I had a little, you know, and maybe justifably so from, you know, my best friend basically ever, as I could say, you know, pointed it out to me. And love this person more than anything, as much as my folks, right? Family. He pointed it out. Good reason to point it out. I apologize. I agree with him. But it's number 6, double standard penalties. So in other words, on these platforms, say like Facebook, if something comes up and you're like, hey, I kind of like what they're saying here and I agree with what they're saying and I express my opinion on that and it doesn't go with the status quo, in other words, the number 5 PC, you know, I'm penalized. I'm penalized. And if you don't believe it, put something on Facebook or YouTube that's very controversial, that doesn't go with the flow of what's going on with these platforms. You're going to get whacked. Whacked. So that's why I call this The Things I Used to Do. It's a great Buddy Guy song, by the way. Great blues artist, Buddy Guy. The things I used to do, I can't do no more. If we get to this point here, guys, okay, if we don't respect and honor, and I'm just saying, just respect the American flag, Old Glory, Independence Day. That's what it's all about. This is Independence Day. Our independence, people, everybody's independence. Everybody's independence. Everybody's. I don't give a damn what color skin you have, what country you came from to settle in the United States. And if you don't believe the United States of America is still one of the best countries, pardon me, go ask some people from North Korea that defected over here and that are living here. Even some of the Hispanic people. Just ask some foreign people that come from foreign countries that are really bad how they feel about living in the United States of America. I'm just asking you guys that are bashing on the flag pretty bad to really think about it for a second. Think about it for a second. I know we got issues. I just feel there's other ways that we can express them. Because if we keep banging on this poor flag right here, we're going to lose all this stuff. And then you know what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to do anything. Now, it's okay to express your opinions. It's okay to demonstrate. I'm just asking to be a little careful about how you do it. Let's don't go over our boundaries. Let's listen to other people. Listen to other sides. Listen to other opinions. Work together. Anyway, and I love the 4th of July, guys. That's why I'm talking about Independence Day. I don't want to see these holidays go away. I think the woke stuff is too much. It's okay to bring attention to some of the bad stuff that happened in our history so it doesn't repeat. I've talked about this before. But you don't have to keep just feeding it into our young people in the society and brainwash them totally to where they can't understand what the hell they are, what the hell is going on, and everything in this country is evil and rude and mean, and all history needs to go. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. You do that, you surrender all this. You surrender the country, you surrender all that, all of it, and you don't have the freedom country that we have today. And lastly, like I like to say before I wind it down in this next 10 minutes, thanks for guys listening. I know it's a little bit of a rant maybe, but I feel really passionate about it, especially 4th of July weekend. Now listen, whether you like this country or not, whether you like what's going on in this country or not, and there's a lot of things going on in this country right now I don't like, I haven't liked, and blah, 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 blah. And I can go on and on and on about that, but I won't. But there's a lot of things in this country I do love and still cherish, right? I do love the freedom of being able to have a decent job and being able to drive an automobile and go where I want to go in this country without having to ask permission, without having to tell the government tell me what kind of car I got to drive, without certain people in the government telling me that I got to dress a certain way, I got to look a certain way, I got to appreciate a certain type of agenda, I have to worship a certain types of agendas and all that. I want my freedom to be able to do what I want to do like everybody else. And that's where it comes to the double standard penalties. We shouldn't have double standard penalties. It's free. It's free. Let's keep the country free. And lastly, like with 4th of July, the celebration, guys, we had men and women, thousands upon thousands, that serve in our armed forces, right? They are strained. They've sacrificed a lot. I have relatives that go way back to World War II, to the Civil War, that fought in all these wars. And wars are ugly. I don't like them. But they fought and sacrificed, men and women, and young men and women that sacrificed their lives, people, for these freedoms that we still have that we're barely hanging on to in this country. We have to keep it in mind. We have to be conscientious about not ripping our country apart. Guys, because if we rip our country apart, and when I say guys, I mean girls too, guys and gals, if we rip our country apart, we're not going to have one. And you think it's bad now? Ask some people that live in China. Ask some people that live in North Korea. Go out and ask these people. Guatemala. El Salvador. Go Venezuela. Go ask these people how their home country is. If you don't believe me, ask them. And I guarantee they're going to say, I'd much rather be in the United States of America. And you think of all our veterans, like I said, that fought and died for our freedoms, guys. Let's give it up. Let's give it up for Old Glory. Let's stop smashing her and stop destroying her. And let's have a little respect and dignity for country. We stick together, okay? I'm drinking to that. We need to stick together. If certain groups feel like they're not getting their fair share, talk about it maturely. Don't say, well, I'm just going to get mad and screw you, and this is what I'm doing. That never solved anything. You know, it never solved anything. Am I a perfect person? No. Have I said things and done things and maybe put some little things up on social media that aren't the greatest? You know, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, though, with me, I've always been respectful, though, seriously. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I have really been and are, for the most part, almost 100% respectable to everybody. I really am. So anyway, let's just be proud of the country. It's the 4th of July. I mean, they're not even having fireworks out of Mount Rushmore. Why? Okay, well, they say, well, because these guys up there are blah, 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 blah. You know, Abraham Lincoln, he was during the Civil War. He had one of the hardest jobs ever. If it wasn't for George Washington, we wouldn't have a country. And the thing is, if you want to represent other people, go ahead. You know, there may not be a big statue in a mountain carved for them, but you can still represent everybody. Everybody should have a 4th of July in their hearts. And I know some people, I feel really bad for the American Indians. I do. I have a little bit of American Indian blood in me, in my ancestry. I feel bad for a lot of suppressed people throughout the world. I have actually, in my ancestry, I actually have a little bit of African American blood in me. DNA. I almost have, you know, on the outside I'm a Caucasian man, but on the inside I still got some bloodlines. I feel for all these people that have these problems, But we need to maybe just refocus everything and say, you know, come on, let's celebrate all lives, all races, all creeds. Let's celebrate America. You know, wrap your arms around everybody in this country, and for one day we could be one people, one happy people, and embrace this country That's it. And if I say something, if someone out there is doing something that I don't like, and I think is kind of disrespectful to the veterans and the people that fought all these wars for us to have the freedoms to express what certain people do, and I say something a little bit like, if you're whining and crying about it so damn bad and you hate it so damn bad, and you're representing the world stage, then maybe, you have options to move. You do. I don't think you want to, but you could. I'm just saying, for one day, can you just hold your personal feelings back and respect this great land? Because, if you don't, guys, I'm telling you, all I'm saying in a nutshell, what this whole podcast is today, if you don't start respecting the people and everyone in this country and respecting the country and respecting everything, you're going to lose. That's about the USA, rather. Everything that's about the USA. You're going to lose that. You're going to lose all that. You're never going to have a freedom of speech again. You're never going to have a freedom of worship if you do worship. You're certainly not going to be proud of the country because you won't have one. You're going to have a dictator that's going to run you like China does. And you're not going to be happy in your own skin because you're going to be miserable because you're going to be a slave to the government. There's not going to be such thing as PC because it's going to be eliminated. You're not going to have political correctness. It's going to be one way or the highway. And the double standard is definitely going to be there, but it's only going to be ruled by one, and it won't be you. That's all I'm saying. Just think about that stuff, guys, for a minute. I know I got kind of deep today. I'm a humble man. I don't claim to know everything. I'm still learning every day at my age. And, I'm still learning. I don't think I'll ever figure it out. But you know what? I have figured out one thing, is I'm happy to be an American. I know like I said, we have problems, but I'm happy to be I still got the freedom to go out to the grocery store and buy some food and cook out on my grill this weekend, like so many millions of people are going to do. 4th of July, they're going to drink beer, light firecrackers, and cook out hamburgers or whatever on their grills. That's all great. But you know what? If we don't stop screwing around, you're not going to be able to do that very easily anymore. That's all I got to say. Thanks for tuning in on the 30-minute Johnny Allen podcast. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. A little update on my Crossroads Saints music project. We had a bit of a... excuse me, guys. I'm going to get a little coffee. I was saying a little update on the Crossroads Saints. Pardon me. We had a little bit of a tragedy, but not real bad. Our keyboard player got hurt at a birthday party. A freak accident happened, and he's healing right now. It's going to take a while, but that's kind of postponed some things for a while, especially live performances. I don't think the band's going to play live unless it's this winter, but summertime's out, unfortunately. So our prayers go out to Daryl. He's our keyboardist and main songwriter, and he's recuperating now. A freak accident, and nobody's fault, just something that happened. Thank God no one got killed. Thank God he didn't. But he's recovering from his injury, so let's say some prayers for Daryl. But I'll keep you in the loop of what's going on there. The album is done. The girls are working on all the media stuff, and I'll let you know when we're ready to go. On a positive note with the Crossroads Saints, though, I've reached out to probably about 70 or 80 people who want our CD. I've already had like 30 or 40 people offer me money right now for it. I've given them like little samples of the songs, and they're like, "Oh, I want it." So that's good. So as soon as we're able to get some CDs out there, I will get them out there to you guys while Daryl's recouping from his injury sustained. And if you're watching, Daryl, God love you, brother. Get healed up real soon. And Mike and I are doing our thing, and I'll keep you in the loop. But all that stuff, God bless America. You guys might disagree with some of what's going on here, but God bless this land, guys. Have some pride for one day. Just say, you know what? Yeah. You know what? This country is pretty badass. We can still cook out. We can still do all these things. I think sometimes we're spoiled where we just want something. We're bored and spoiled where we want something to jack up. We don't need to jack it up, right? express your feelings and address your issues, but at the same time, love your country, because if, like I said, you can explore other countries and they're not very sweet. Thanks again for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys next week on the 30-minute Johnny Allen podcast. Take care. Happy 4th of July.